Everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Helena. I'm the executive director with the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce, representing 30,000 different business and civic leaders. Mantra from the Greater New York Chamber, we're here to help you grow your business. And as much as we can, to put information into the hands of businesses. When you get the information, your business is going to grow, the economy is going to grow, you're going to employ people, and then you spend your money back into the community. That is the growth. That is the mission of the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce. And today we have Rachel Amar. By the way, Rachel is a recipient of our Women's History Awards reception awardee. So we're really excited to have her back representing Oath. She is the senior advisor to the commissioner. And we also have John Castelli going to be popping in soon. And he is the deputy commissioner for Oath. Now, what we're going to be talking about is what happens with your business if you're issued a civil summons for an alleged violation. So I'm really, you know what, we did this, I would say about 6 months ago. The response was huge because a lot of people don't know where to go, what to do. And I actually ended up, someone on the webinar a couple of months ago sent me an email, and Rachel was spot on and was able to help that person. So we so appreciate your time, Rachel, for, you know what, to giving the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce for partnering up with this information, and to it's so important for the local, city, state, and federal agencies to get this information in front of the businesses. So we so like I said, I can't thank you enough. That's why we host these webinars and these seminars and in-person events, so we can help your business grow. So I'm going to turn it over to Rachel. We have a chat going on, everyone. Put your information in the chat. Halfway through the presentation, Rachel is going to go through the Q&A I'm going to go through it and ask her the questions that you're putting in if she hasn't addressed it. Please do not put personal information in there. That you can do maybe a one-on-one later with an email, but this is, everyone's seeing the chat, so I always make sure everyone knows this. This will be on Chamber TV. It will be recorded. If you're interested in the PowerPoint presentation, email me and I will send it after this event. So Rachel, I'm going to tell you to thank you so much for doing this. On behalf of the Greater New York Chamber, we so appreciate your time, and I'm going to turn it over to you right now.
Thank you so much, Helena, and thanks for the kind words. I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you do for all the businesses. And at Oath, which I'll get into a little bit more, I'm the main person that works with the business community, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate what the business community does as an economic driver for New York City. I recognize it, and the administration recognizes it. And what I'm here to do today is make this process as simple as possible for those of you who want to learn more about the rules for the city of New York, and also for those of you who may be unfortunate to receive a summons from the city of New York returnable to Oath. So just for the big picture, Helena had mentioned that I'm senior advisor to the commissioner. I'm joined by my colleague who should be getting on shortly, John Castelli, who's Deputy Commissioner for Legislative Affairs. And we really do our best to get around the city and talk to businesses, meet with businesses, learn what your concerns are, and really just do as much as we can to help. So if you learn anything from being on this webinar today, I want you to know how important it is, if you do receive a summons, to make sure to respond to that summons. We are all busy. We know that you're busy, but the worst thing you can do is ignore a summons. So taking a step back, Oath, which stands for the Office of Administrative Trials and Hearings, is actually a city agency and an administrative tribunal. So what does that mean? we're in a unique position to not only be an agency for the city of New York, but also to be a court. So we have a unique place in New York City government, and we're also independent and impartial, which means that we are not taking the side of the enforcement agencies. And that's really a crucial thing for you to know, that if you get a summons from multiple agencies that issue summonses, and I'm going to list a few of them that often, address businesses: the Department of Buildings, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, Department of Buildings, Department of Environmental Protection. Those are some of the main, Department of Sanitation, the police department, the fire department. Those are some of the larger enforcement agencies that tend to issue summonses to the businesses in New York City. And I'm going to show you a few kind of interesting things on our website so that you guys learn more about the process. Obviously, any questions, we'll go over them, but just to remember, you don't really need to memorize anything other than to make sure to respond to your summons. So, the first thing I want to mention, if you're unfortunate enough to receive a summons for, let's say, a dirty sidewalk, and I'm going to share our homepage just to give you an example, and you are busy, it's during the day, you get the summons and you are doing your work, so you're operating your business, so you get it, you're upset that you got it, you put it away and you say, I'll deal with this, but I'm just not going to deal with it right now. What I want you to know is, I just pulled up our summons finder, is that if you misplace that summons that you were issued, which happens all the time, sometimes not only can you misplace it, sometimes you don't actually receive it, even though it's also, sort of posted, or it's supposed to also be mailed. So there are sometimes issues with receiving a summons that we hear constantly. I just want everyone to know that not receiving the summons is not a reason to not respond. So it sounds a little crazy, because if you don't receive something, how can you be expected to respond? So the one thing I can tell you, as a proactive measure, if you seem that if it seems that you are getting summonses every so often for whatever reason, and you could be fighting them and winning all the time, you might want to be proactive. You click on this website, go to the summons finder, and you actually can just search by name and address. If you're registered under your business, it would be your business name. If not, it would be your name. You can fill out all that information. You can click search, and it will list all of your property summonses or summonses associated with the name and address. So for an example, I'm going to put in a dirty sidewalk summons. So we don't actually have a copy of the summons. So I fast tracked it and entered the summons number, which you can also get by contacting Oath in our help center. And I'll go over that information. So this takes you to a lot of information: case details, more details, explanations of charges. The key thing to know is that you are being charged with, in this particular case, if you scroll down, it says dirty sidewalk. The amount of the fine is $50. If you ignore it and don't pay it, it just increases. And potentially, with some of the fines that are docketable, it could cause a lien on your property, which nobody wants that to happen, especially if you're thinking about selling your property. So I just wanted to show you that there are ways to search for your summons. Some Department of Consumer and Worker Protection summonses and Department of Health summonses do not actually appear through the ECB summons finder. So what you should know is, just because you can't find your summons through our summons finder does not mean you should ignore it. You should definitely contact Oath. So a little bit more about what we're doing to help businesses. I want to just open up our infographic. I think you can see that. Helena, can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So we want to encourage everyone, if they are unfortunate to get a summons, to check that date. Along with checking the date, you're also making sure that that summons is returnable to Oath. On the screen, it says right underneath the red red circle, hearing date, it says you must respond by the above date. And then underneath it says Office of Administrative Trials and Hearings. That's how you know you're going to oath to respond to your summons.
I think we're
We
on the
don't,
wrong slide. It just important announcement, oath encourages remote options.
hold on a second. So you can't see the infographic? Okay.
No.
Let me try to close that out. Okay, let me try that again. But in the meantime, I'll still explain the process. So what I want everyone to know is that if you get a parking ticket, if you get a red light camera ticket, if you get a Transit Adjudication Bureau summons, those do not get returnable to oath. So we want to make sure that the summons you're responding to, and do you see the step 1 now, Helena?
Step 1, step 2, never miss
Perfect.
again on the bottom.
Okay, but you see step 1 and step 2, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, excellent. So these are the steps to take if your summons is indeed returnable to oath. I also want to flag that Department of Buildings, Fire Department often can give either warnings or summonses that are not actually returnable to oath for whatever reason, and however their systems work. Every agency has a different have different rules and regulations. So sometimes those can actually get returned to the agency. So it's important just to get that basic information so you don't waste your time dealing with Department of Buildings if you're supposed to go to oath, and you don't waste your time going to oath if you're supposed to go to the fire department. And the other thing I want to mention about that is the enforcement agencies can give you information about their rules, but please do not listen to the information they provide you when it comes to responding to hearings at oath. Because of our impartiality, we're not coordinating the details of your hearing with them. The evidence that you provide, preparing your evidence, that is all activities that you should be doing at oath. And we have a dedicated help center, which I'm going to get into at step 3, that can walk you through those details. So just to stay in order, step 2 is really figuring out, I think I'm guilty, I just want to pay. That's totally your right, and I'm not getting into that. What I'm getting into today is really access to justice issues. You're a business. A lot of you are small businesses. A violation that you are not responsible for sometimes can be thousands of dollars, and that really can impact your bottom line. So I'm here to tell you, fight it, because the statistics say over 40% of summonses that are heard at a hearing can get dismissed after a hearing. So, what does that mean? That means you have a good chance when you take it, when you actually go to the hearing, attend, and make your case. So once you decide how you want to respond, and in that decision, you can decide, okay, you know what? I think that I might be in violation, so I want to cure or settle. Those are steps that are integral for you to make. And sometimes those steps will involve first going to the issuing agency, the enforcement agency, like the Department of Buildings, potentially having to file a certificate of occupancy or some type of correction. And sometimes when you finish doing it at the enforcement agency, they'll say, okay, you've satisfied everything you have to do here. You don't have to do anything else. I want to caution you, that doesn't mean you don't have to respond to your summons at oath. Because of our impartiality and independence, you still need to respond to oath unless oath says you've satisfied everything and you no longer need to attend your hearing. Your violation is being satisfied and dismissed. If that's the case, you can listen to oath on that front, but please only get that that information on the rules and regulations from oath and nowhere else. So when you decide if you're going to go to the hearing and fight the summons, you have several options. For most of the violation codes, and there's a way you can check online, you can actually decide to fight your summons over the phone. Because of COVID, we've made it as easy as possible, and you don't have to come in person. But the one extra step that you have to take is you have to tell oath how you plan on responding. So if you plan on coming in person, or if you plan on fighting by phone. And I want to say that going to oath in person is not going to put you at more of a competitive edge over fighting over the phone. The key is the evidence that you present. So as long as you can present your evidence via email to a hearing officer on the day of the hearing, you don't actually have to email your evidence in advance. You would do it when you have the hearing and you call in, you're given an email address for the judicial hearing officer, and then you would email your evidence that day. So doing a phone hearing is equally beneficial and probably better for your time than going in person. Another thing we've set up is we've set up a callback feature. So if you're busy, and so is Oath will say you can put your phone number in and we'll call you back at the next available hearing for that day. The key thing to remember is you don't want to miss that hearing. So make sure your ringer's on. Make sure if you have, vibrate, you put your phone on vibrate so you get the phone call when they call back. Another option you have available to yourself, which is listed here, it says never miss a hearing again. You can sign up for text message reminders. I want to emphasize, because Helena and I were talking about scams earlier, that you will only get a message from Oath if you contact Oath and sign up for the text message reminders. If you did not sign up for text message reminders and nobody signed up for you, that's another key part, we will not be sending you text messages. I know there's a scam going around right now with like Easy Pass and those type of alerts. So just keep in mind, common sense practices. Oath is not going to be asking you for a credit card information by text. We're not going to tell you to Zelle us money or anything of that sort. So just, keep that, common sense approach that if there is a scam going out, and I haven't heard any about Oath specifically, that those are always things to keep your eyes and ears out on. So the next thing is if the help center, which I'm going to get into momentarily, is available for all the small businesses that are not represented by an attorney. So if you don't have an attorney representing you, and you absolutely do not need one, it's up to you. If you feel like you're busy and you just want to hire an attorney to handle this, that's absolutely your right. But then you can't use the help center to prepare your evidence. You would have to go through your attorney. The key thing about preparing your evidence is you want to make sure that you get everything right the first time. Your hearing could be a week from now, and you're starting to prepare your evidence, and your architect, who might have like your certificate of occupancy and all the other documents that you might need for a specific violation to prove that you're not in violation, is on the beach in Aruba. I mean, that's great for your architect, but it's not going to help you present your evidence. So you want to make sure that you get your evidence in enough time and prepare it so that the day of your hearing, you don't present everything and say, well, I don't have a copy of the C of O because I couldn't reach my architect because he's in Aruba. The hearing officer will make a decision based off the evidence you provide. So if you don't have it at that time, they can't include that evidence and reviewing that evidence in the decision they make. And the reason why this is important is if you're still found in violation because the hearing officer doesn't find your argument credible, and you are very frustrated because you have the proof, you just weren't able to provide it, you can't actually provide that information in an appeal. So it's really important to know if you're not prepared for your hearing, it's absolutely better to reschedule your hearing, and you're allowed to reschedule your hearing without any questions the first time that you're given your hearing date. And that information is actually listed. Let's see. On step 1, it says to reschedule your hearing date, go to the website. You can do that. And just keep in mind when you do reschedule, if you need to, it's important to let host, somebody needs to go on mute. It's important to know
It's
that
John.
You
John's on.
okay.
John just came on.
Okay, great. And I'll definitely introduce him. It's important to make sure that you let Oath know what days you are available. So if your daughter's getting married, your son's getting married, you have a happy occasion, that's great. And your hearing happens to be on the same date. Make sure to let Oath know if you also have, you happen to have another occasion a month, 2 months later that you can't make the other dates. You might have a religious holiday. Um, Various things that might be happening. Just make sure to know your schedule and say when you're not available, and also state when you are available. That way, when they give you a new hearing date, they won't give you a date that is not good for your schedule. So I see that my coworker, Deputy Commissioner John Castelli, has joined us. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these next steps, and then I'm going to introduce him, and he's going to say hi to everyone. And I think he's also going to give you a little quiz. So hopefully some of this information at least is in your short-term memory. So the key part about preparing for your hearing, aside from having all your evidence prepared for the day of your hearing, is making sure that you contact the Small Business Help Center at least, I would say, a week before your hearing, if not earlier. Okay, because once you contact the help center, you also need to let them know, okay, I decided I want to do this hearing by phone. Rachel said it's really easy and it should be no problem, so I'm going to go for it and try it. Can you help me set up a hearing by phone? All I need is a PIN number, and I don't really know how to do that, so you're going to let me know how to do that. Key thing is you have to do that 3 business days before your hearing date. Now, some people have difficulty counting what constitutes the business day. Does it count the day of, etc.? So I always say do it 5 business days ahead of time. It's if your hearing is Friday, make sure that you do it by Monday. If your hearing is Tuesday, make sure you do it the week before. That way, there's no lack of clarity in when you should be contacting Oath, and they don't tell you, you know what, you waited too long, you didn't follow our rules, and now you're going to be found in default. You want to avoid that as much as possible. If you decide that you want to do a hearing in person, there's an email address which is listed here, and we'll provide you with this infographic, and you can contact the email address and let them know. And this one is at least 5 business days in advance. So if you don't do it 5 business days in advance, they're not going to allow you to have an in-person hearing. Now, you also can do a one-click online hearing, which basically means you're doing an electronic submission. You do it all online through those links. You provide your evidence online, and it's done at your convenience. So literally, you can do it in the middle of the night if that's when you have time to get things done. You can do it early in the morning. You can do it after business hours, as long as you do it by your hearing date. And those are all the tools that are available to you to prepare for your hearing. So I just want to emphasize, and it says the warning on this infographic, that you want to make sure that you will be found in violation if you don't show up to your hearing, and that failure to pay for the violation can put you in default, and there can be a default penalty, and there can also be legal action by the city and a judgment against you in court, and or denial of a city license and a city license slash application. So keep in mind that the city is going to do everything to make it difficult for you to operate in New York City if you default and don't take care of your summons. So on that note, the last thing I do want to mention, which is sort of like a fun resource and free resource, is we do have, I think if I click on this, do you see appeal decision written at the top, Helena?
No, I don't see appeal. You'll have to scroll up though.
Okay, let me just stop sharing, and then I think I have to stop sharing. I'm going to show you one other neat trick that you can look up on our website, which is basically accessing all appeals decisions for the city of New York that have been decided. and they're all published. New York Law Center has a database. And the great thing about it is if you're not represented, you can look at the reasonings that either the board or hearing officers used to either sustain a violation or to reverse it. Many times there's tons of dirty sidewalk appeals, and I'm actually going to share. I'm going to share that with you right now. And they've been reversed on appeal. And so you have a really good chance if you present the evidence and you see in the first hearing decision they don't actually acknowledge your evidence that you presented, you can do that in the appeal, and you can get tips on strategies that worked through these appeals decisions. So can you see what it says here at the top of its oath letterhead, and it says appeal decision?
Yes, it says appeal decision, and the appeal of respondent premises owner is denied.
Correct. So in this particular case, it was denied, but you just type in, and I'll show you, I'm going to take it one step back. You actually just type in the violation code through the city admin online library, and I'll include that link in the information that I send to you, Helena. And you basically just check off, you see it says oath, you can check off oath hearings and appeals, you can check off ECB appeals, and then you just type in the violation code that you were charged for. In this case, I made it simple and I put in dirty sidewalk and I clicked search, and it came up with all of the decisions that are related to dirty sidewalk. So that's like sort of a fun, free resource that's available to you that, again, you don't need an attorney representing you because you have access to information like that. So I want to make sure that you know about it. And John, can you hear me, John? Okay, great. So I'm going to introduce my coworker, Deputy Commissioner John Castelli. He's responsible for dealing with our elected officials. And I think somebody.
John is muted. John, you have to unmute.
Okay, so
there you go.
He and
got a lot of background noise.
Yeah, John, there's background noise where you are. Okay, so it's okay. I'm just going to finish talking, and then John will probably have limited time to talk to you just because there's so much background noise. But I do want him to say a few words, and then we'll make time for some questions that anyone might have. So John, without further ado, I wanted you to say a few words to everyone.
John is traveling.
Yeah, I think John's looking for a place that is a little quieter, and I think he found something.
Oh, good.
Hi, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's better.
Can everybody? Okay, great. I'm sorry. I was having technical difficulties trying to get on, and I finally found a place that I can get on. I'm at the SIE DC Staten Island Economic Development Corporation's annual expo at the Hilton Garden Inn here in Staten Island, and it's a little hectic. But I wanted to make sure that that I would be on this, and I want to thank Helena and the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce for the phenomenal work that they do always in ensuring that their members get top-notch, first-rate, including stuff that we give, information for members, for businesses, and we want to continue that. And as we said when we first did this, this wouldn't be a one-shot deal. This would be something that we would continue to always keep those lines of communication open, access to justice for members of the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce, so greater access to justice to the Greater New York Chamber. So I don't know what Rachel went into, but I do want to put tremendous emphasis on what our mission is at Oath and why we do it. Our mission is to ensure that everyone, and since we're dealing with businesses here today, that businesses that are issued civil summonses for alleged violations are afforded the opportunity to fight those summonses at oath, to fight those summonses at a hearing, to ensure that we provide top-notch services to assist them through our Small Business Help Center, assist them in fighting those summonses and having their day in court. making sure too that whether it's not a foghorn, that's somebody pulling chairs, just so you know, in one of the banquet halls here. So the important thing here is that whether you succeed on the merits of your case or not, that you believe you got a fair and impartial hearing. It's not just that we say it. So we want to know in every single circumstance where anyone who thinks they didn't get a fair and impartial hearing, please reach out to Rachel or myself, and we will we'll look into it and see whether or not that's true. So I do, and Rachel went into a lot of the nuts and bolts, but I want to put emphasis on the fact that if you, after this presentation, there are really two important points that we want you to walk away from, just remembering at most. And you have the infographic that Rachel had created. The infographic is really your menu to work with, and we have, you can access it through our website in any language, just about most languages. If you're not comfortable or with English, or if you prefer another language, we do have them. And Rachel, I'm sure she can elaborate on that more on the types of languages. But we are definitely about language access, and we do have our hearings are translated into up to 250 languages, and that's very important because you can't have access to justice without having language access first and foremost. So I also want to implore that you take advantage of what we have, the services that we have at Oath, and please, they're free. Emphasis is on free. And the old saying is some of the best things in life are for free, and we like to think that the services we provide are part of some of those best things that you can get. So it's very important. I don't want to. I want to point out, and I don't know, Rachel, did you get into motions to vacate? Did you get into reschedules? I'm sorry.
I talked.
Rachel, you're muted.
No,
Okay.
I was talking. I realized I was muted. So the quick answer is yes. That I talked about it, that they default,
Okay.
and there are some questions about that too. So when I read over the questions, we'll go over those answers again. But I'm glad you brought up defaults, because if somebody does default, they should respond within the 75-day time frame to get that default reopened immediately without any questions. If you wait past that time frame, it gets more difficult. You need a reasonable excuse, and then if you wait, sometimes people take even up to a year. Then you need an exceptional circumstance on why you didn't respond. So I'm glad that John raised that. It's really important that if you did default, and let's say you just tuned into this webinar today and you have a defaulted summons, let's take a look at that today and make sure that you're still in your time frame, and if not, what we can do to respond to it, because those are things that, again, if you default, you'll as I read earlier from the infographic, you can go into a judgment with the city of New York, and the city of New York is not going to stop bothering you, and neither are the debt collectors. So thank you, John.
You're welcome. I don't know when questions, if anybody has questions, if we're at that point for questions.
Do you want me to?
Yes.
Do you see them?
Helena, I'd be happy for you to read the questions, but John, can you just tell everyone your joke, because I like your joke that I don't want to give away, about what Chambers and
oh, you mean my
judge?
I think we did. Didn't we do that with them before? I think they're going to get the answer to that. What do judges and businesses have? What do they both have?
What?
What do judges and businesses have in common? Let's see. Okay. Let's see if anyone guessed.
Put it in the chat, everyone. Anyone? Oh, always to the point.
Good answer, but not the answer we're looking for. Anybody else?
Promises.
Nope. Okay, we're gonna give you the answer. The answer is Chambers.
Love it, love it, love it.
Well, thank you. Thanks again, Helena. Thank you for the phenomenal work that you do with the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce, and thanks for having us. And I'm hoping that I didn't put anybody to sleep today. Though my wife says to me, I'm one of the best methods to put people to sleep. I just hope that doesn't happen here.
John, before you go, I so appreciate your time and I love that you're at a business expo providing more information to businesses. But you know what, I wrote some notes, access to justice. I love that line. That, you know what, the businesses need to have that. You fight, you fight on behalf of the businesses. And you're top notch for free information providing for small businesses, and the services are free. So everyone, John, thank you so much for for popping in, and thank you so much for being our deputy commissioner and what you do, because you really help out businesses, and that's what and I was saying to Rachel before when I was doing when we were starting this, the partnership that we have, and to provide, you have so much information, and without getting it into the people's hands, the businesses' hands, it's almost, I don't want to say meaningless, but I don't want to refer to that way. But on a positive note, that's why we provide these webinars. They're so important. And for everyone, you know what? It might be a small fine or a big fine, John. And if it's a big fine, it takes away from their business. So
Right.
you put the money back into the business's hand, they can hire more people, they can, spend more money in their community and give back. And
That's right.
so it's a domino effect. And
Right.
like I said to Rachel, we so appreciate your time doing this today. And we're going to take the Q&As.
Great. And just to add to your point, Helena, I touched on a $50 fine, a $2,000 fine. But if summonses are issued by the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene at a food inspection, and there are like 10 or 12 violations in that one summons, it can get really costly. We have some summonses that can add up to $20,000, $40,000. So I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that it's very good that you're being here and being proactive.
Now, I have a question. Could businesses be hit with citations with the freelance? Isn't it free bill? Question mark. What if the summons is wrong and the company is really using freelancers, not misclassified W-2 workers? Is that for you guys?
So that does not on face value sound like a summons that would come to oath per se, but it might be, because I don't know all the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, if they are hitting people on sort of like tax or wage violations, and it does come to us. I guess the question, so what is the actual question?
About the W-2. I think that is
Yeah.
for Department of Taxation
Yeah.
or unemployment.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. What if you're traveling? Can you postpone your hearing?
Yes, you absolutely can postpone your hearing. The key thing is to do everything before your hearing date, because you are allowed, we call it a free reschedule, no questions asked, if it's the first time you're requesting a reschedule. After that, oath says, sorry, you told us when you were available, and that's why you have this hearing date. So after that, you really have to show up to your hearing. So the first time you can absolutely reschedule, just make sure you indicate when you actually are available for a new hearing, and make sure it's within like 2 to 3 months. That way they give you a date that works for your schedule.
John, if you want, oh, John just popped off. I just muted him because there was so much background when you were talking.
Okay.
Why do we still need to pay the fines after hearings, even though we were told the hearing officers, we already fixed the issues? The issues were fixed before leaving the hearing date. We were not given the opportunity to upload the proof. The hearing officer, was not friendly. Also, the whole time on the phone hearing is unreasonably long, 2 to 3 hours hold.
Okay, so I'm going to address the issues backwards. One, that is why I personally came up with a callback feature, because I got complaints from businesses, and I absolutely agree. And I went back to Oath and I said, I'm giving myself just a little credit because I was very passionate about this. I said, if the banks can figure out a way to call people back, so can we. And we did. So that the key thing is just make sure you know that you're not missing the callback number. John, can you go on mute? Okay. And
Yeah.
then the other part of it is, if you had an issue with a hearing officer and you believe that something wasn't followed or there was a professional issue, yes, I'd like to know about that. You can send that to me personally. I'll provide you with my email address. It's R as in Rachel, AMAR, the number 2. And I'll type it into the chat at oath.nyc.gov. I don't want to put the person who asked this question on the spot, but let me also take a look at your, if you want to email me your summons number and your phone number, let me take a look at what happened, and then I will follow up with you. Just so everyone knows, we record all of the phone hearings, so there's documentation and everything can be reviewed, and that's, because we are accountable to the public, and we need to make sure that that everything is accountable that we do.
Someone mentioned we hired professionals to help with hearings. Same outcome. We need to pay the fine still after evidence was provided to the professionals who attended the hearings on our behalf. I think that's like, you put your information in your email in there, so we don't want you to put this private information in the
Yeah.
chat. So
Yeah.
you can email Rachel directly on this with your case number for that. She's putting that in. Hold on.
I entered that information, and I just want to reiterate, a lot of things that happen at Oath are very case specific to your summons. So an outcome can happen with you that doesn't happen with somebody else. So I also need to take a look at the specifics related to that before I can answer knowledgeably. And I want to make sure that I'm thorough before addressing that situation.
Someone wrote, this is so informative and good to know that there is someone out there that's watching our backs and gives us the support to navigate the system successfully. Well said. Well said. So true.
Thank you. Yeah, and John is also doing that as well. So thumbs up to John.
Sorry, technical issues here. But I want to mention too that, and it's very important. What Rachel and I are very, very big on is we look at, this technology has really influenced our lives. It's advanced us in many ways. But one of the things we never lose sight of is technology is supposed to enhance human contact, not displace it. And that's very important. Using technology to enhance communications and human contact. So, like today, I'm here at this event meeting people in person. Rachel and I have gone to the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce's spectacular event to meet people in person. We don't forget that. We want to meet you and see you in person. It's not just to do visual on Zooms, which are very important because it allows us to be in different places and communicate. But we want to make sure let you know that greater access to justice means also seeing you in the flesh and speaking with you, and the chamber, the Greater New York Chamber is always to educate our members about Oath. How can we advance greater access to justice for our members? So this is something that we are very, very proud about working with Helena and the team, the A team at the Greater New York Chamber. And it's very important that we continue this, and looking forward to seeing you all in the flesh at the next big chamber event, in-person event that we're invited to. Thanks, everybody. I've got to jump off. I want to wish everybody a great day.
Thank you, John, so much. Greatly appreciate your time.
Yeah, and I'll see John soon. I'm going to head over there after. I see, Helena, there's more questions. Do you want to address them? I mean, do you want to ask them and I'll respond? Okay.
What is the chance of an amnesty program here in New York City for reduced fines on past due violations? Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm sort of going to answer it in a way that is not going to make you completely happy. Oath doesn't opine on policy because we're a tribunal. However, Helena with the chambers can advocate for amnesty vis-a-vis city hall and or council members. So there were amnesties under COVID because of the issues related to inflation, which Helena and I were discussing briefly before everyone got on. I see a very reasonable climate. However, we can't say Rachel's advocating for amnesty. It would have to be the chambers because everyone's going to say, well, Rachel's an employee of the city of New York.
Well, we would love to do that. So you know what? Anyone interested, send me an email. We would love to, write a letter on behalf of our, we're 40,000 strong here at the chamber. So we do have a voice, meaning you all have a voice that is on here right now. Just to answer, how do we reach out to for this presentation? Email me. I'll get you a copy of the presentation. This is being recorded. It will be on Chamber TV this afternoon or this evening. Just go to our website. Thank you. What is the chance? Okay, we did that one. Hold on for a second. Can I have presentations? Yep, everyone, you'll get a copy of the presentation. Just email me. How many days can we get an extension for a summon?
So I think what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong who asked that question, but I'll answer it in two ways. One, you can reschedule. So that's not exactly an extension. The other thing is that you don't show up and you default, which is, I'm not suggesting you do that. That's not optimal. But the third option is if you are working with an attorney and you, let's say, uh, you just hire them and you have your hearing and they weren't able to attend, and you explain to the hearing officer, I didn't realize how difficult this would be to respond, and I need to obtain legal counsel. It's not definite that they'll allow you to adjourn, but you could request that if you see that it's overwhelming for you to respond to the violation. So there is no such thing as an extension. There's just the scenarios that I mentioned.
Perfect. They love the callback feature. It's a lifesaver.
Thank you so much. That really makes me feel great.
Any other questions? Put it in the chat. Any other questions? Rachel, you want to close it out?
Sure. I do want to mention that we went over a lot of information. We'll share it vis-a-vis Helena through the chamber. If any questions come up from now, before you get a summons, when you get a summons, feel free to reach out to Helena. She will contact me immediately. And I promise a quick turnaround unless I'm on vacation. And lucky for all of you, the person who gets my information when I'm on vacation is John. So he'll make sure to get back to you as well. But in all seriousness, I really think it's great that you guys made the time to get on this because it shows how committed you are to being in compliance with the rules and regulations of New York City. And Helena and I know, one, that is not easy. And two, there are just so many rules and regulations. Like it's, uh, it's very easy for anyone to get a summons. I will close by saying I'm a new homeowner and I'm very thankful that I haven't received a summons, but I know that it could happen any day. And I have everything set up for if that time comes. And I'm telling you that not as an admission of guilt, but as an admission of empathy
Being
and
proactive.
yes, and being proactive because I live across the street from a private school, and every day there's trash that comes on my property. I don't eat McDonald's, but I see McDonald's every week.
Mhm.
So I say that because I have a plan, and as business owners, you should know for most businesses that the rules and regulations state you have to clean your property twice a day, every day. If you are unlucky to get a summons for a dirty sidewalk, make sure that you let the hearing officer know that you have a cleaning plan in place, as I assume that you do, because those are very often summonses that appear both personal and on the business side. And those are ones that you can easily deal with. You do not need to obtain an attorney for that.
What is the late payment charges? How much interest charges for late payments?
So those all follow the rules and regulations. So it's not a uniform amount. So I can't quote like it's $25 or 25%. It depends on the rules for each of the enforcement agencies.
Also, when you were back to, being a homeowner and being across the street from a private school and the trash, and they just want you to twice a day take care of your property. What I don't, I'm just suggesting you could say, Helena, completely wrong. If you showed, like, if you have like a Ring camera that you do this twice a day at 10 o'clock in the morning, you're diligent, they see you walk out, you're checking your sidewalk, you're checking your front lawn, and then at 4 o'clock in the afternoon you do the same thing and you show on the Ring camera 4 days in a row to the hearing officer, would that help?
Yes.
Good. I love this.
Yes, that helps. And that's why some people choose to do the hearing by phone, because they can actually email that evidence. If not, I assume that you could also get it on your cell phone and show it if you have a live hearing. But if some people don't have the money to have cameras, so even if you don't have a camera, if you have credible evidence that states that you're cleaning twice a day, and sometimes people like to get something from their business neighbor stating that you're a good business and that you clean twice a day every day. What the hearing officer is specifically looking at is what happened on that exact date. So if you tell them I was away in Bahamas on that date and I didn't have a cleaning schedule, then you're not going to get that summons dismissed. Yeah.
Or just do a face, use your phone if you don't have a camera. There are just go, there are cameras out there that you can get for like $20 now, and they have an
Okay.
app on there. So FYI.
Great.
Rachel, anything else? We're going to do a summary on our news and chamber news. So, and then post this video with this.
Great. Excellent. I don't know if there's any more questions. I haven't been monitoring the chat, but I think
Yeah,
that's it.
that was it.
Okay.
Any other before we close it out? Any other questions? You have Rachel here, unbelievable information, useful source. Okay. Well, that was really, really great. We have a hard stop at 12. I just wanted to say thank you again to you and John. I love this partnership. We're going to do it in the fall, or maybe do a summer series also. Coming up tomorrow, how to do business with the MTA. Next Tuesday, online networking. And then also May 22nd, join us at the Surrogates Courthouse down at Chamber Street, is our annual International World Trade Cocktail Reception. If you want to meet consulates and general consuls and the investment tourisms from overseas, come join us. It's a great cocktail reception. We'll be talking about tariffs. We'll be talking about international trade. Just join us. And what construction? Okay, you already answered that. So everyone, thank you so much. And again, Rachel, thank you. Thank John. And we so appreciate it. Thank you again, everyone.
You're welcome.
Nice seeing you.
Thank you.